Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Intentional Favor. If you're new here, thanks so much for tuning in. On this channel I share my life experiences on issues pertaining to faith, lifestyle, social work, studying abroad. I also do a little bit of vlogging, so if you'd like to join this family here, you are more than welcome to do so. Just hit the red subscribe button and also hit the notification bell so that I get notified each time I upload a new video. And to you my returning subscribers, I love you guys so much. Thanks for coming back. So guys, quickly before we go into today's video, I want to say a big congratulations to my subscribers, some of them who have already received their offer of admission into the university in the United Kingdom. Congratulations to you guys. I'm so happy. I'm so proud of you guys. Thank God for making this come through, and I'm happy to be part of your success story, and I can't wait to receive you guys. I pray that all the resources, every other thing that you need before you come over, that all of them will fall in place. And if you are still awaiting your admission, it's also my prayer that you will not be disappointed. Your own admission will come through in Jesus' name. Amen. So without much ado, let's jump right into today's video. So guys, as you've seen already, in this video I'll be talking about accommodation in the UK. Yeah, so some of my subscribers, especially who have gained admission, the next thing on their mind is accommodation. So I'm going to talk about that generally in this video, all you need to know, and just give you the tips and all the information you need when it comes to accommodation here in the United Kingdom. So when it comes to accommodation, you actually have two options, either to stay in the uni accommodation or to stay in a rented apartment, a private accommodation. These are basically the two options you have. I'm going to be telling you the pros and cons and all the things you need to know about these two options. One good thing about the uni accommodation is the fact that most times they are close to the uni. Some campuses, some universities, they have their uni accommodation within the campus, yeah, but some of them don't. It will just be a walking distance from lecture rooms, a walking distance from the uni. All right, yeah, so that's one of the advantages, that your accommodation will be a walking distance. You don't necessarily need to take the bus if you're staying in a uni accommodation, because they are well situated very close to the uni. On the other hand, if you rent an apartment outside, of course, yeah, you can still get an accommodation that will be a walking distance to your uni. It's very possible, yeah, but most times they are quite expensive, more expensive than the ones outside. You need to consider that factor anyways, because you don't want to stay far away from your uni. You don't want to be spending so much on transport every day going to uni, or time is also money. It's a useful resource. So the time that it will take you to wake up and get ready to rush and get the bus and go to uni and all that, it will save you a lot. However, one thing that you must know about the university accommodation is the fact that they are more expensive. Of course, they are more expensive, they are more structured and all that. I'd like to say something about the university accommodation which you should actually note. One is that for instance, if you're coming to the UK and you don't have anywhere to stay temporarily, what most students actually do is that when they come to the UK, they have either a family or a friend that they will stay with temporarily before looking for their own accommodation. If you have such, then lucky you. If not, one thing that can help you is the university accommodation, and one way you can do that is to book your accommodation ahead of time, because one thing about uni accommodation is that it is secured. One security for me, one way I consider the university accommodation being secured is that you can pay for your accommodation in your country before coming to the UK, and you are guaranteed that you won't be scammed. Yes, because it's the university that you are paying to, and you won't be afraid of, oh, what if I lose my money, as far as it is your university and not a third party. Yeah, so if you don't have anywhere to stay in the United Kingdom when you come for your studies, the best thing for you is to book an accommodation with your uni. You can do that before coming, and you can pay before coming. And I would advise, if you want to stay in the university of accommodation because of this reason, or just because you want the uni accommodation, I will advise book it fast, book it before coming, because they get filled up early. They get filled up quick. Yeah, they are in much demand. Speak with your university and book your accommodation. Then for those that the only option they have, because they don't have anybody to stay with, that is why they might consider the uni accommodation. You might think, okay, it's too expensive. If it's too expensive for you, I'm not sure about all schools, but I know about my own university that you can book an accommodation for maybe like 1 week or 2 weeks upon arrival, so that you will stay there pending the time that you get your accommodation, then you move out. So it's like a temporary accommodation. So I advise you speak with your uni if that's your case and find out if they have such provision. My university has it. I don't know about every university if they do, but speak with them. Maybe you can get a temporary accommodation where you can pay for 1 month, one week, 2 weeks, or even 1 month. Then once you arrive, you will now start looking for your own accommodation. I promised a video and I'll still film that video. The things that you need to do upon arrival in the UK, some necessary things that you need to get done as soon as possible upon arrival. I'll still film a separate video on that. So that is one thing about the uni accommodation. So it's secured but expensive, and they are usually very close to the uni. When you go for uni accommodation, you can actually have an ensuite room or studio. Difference is that the ensuite room, you have your own room, you have your toilet and your bathroom, but you are going to be sharing kitchen with some other students. But the studio apartment is one that you have your own kitchen, you have your toilet, you have your bathroom, and you also have your room to yourself. But of course, the studio is always more expensive than the ensuite room. So weigh your option, check your what you can afford, and you can go for that. Moving on now, the reality is the fact that not everybody will stay in the uni accommodation. For some people, they don't like it. Some people like it. And for some people, even though they like it, maybe because of how expensive it is, they might not go with that one. So if you want to rent an accommodation outside of the university, I'm going to be saying some things that you need to consider, some things that you need to know when you are doing that. The first thing I would say about renting an apartment outside the uni is that you can have a shared accommodation or a studio apartment. Yeah, studio again coming in. You already know what studio apartment is, like a flat, or what we call self-contained in my country, Nigeria. We call it self-contained. So a studio apartment, you have your own kitchen, you have your toilet, you have your bedroom, you have your room all to yourself. That is a studio apartment, but you know it's more expensive. But I think the option that most students usually go for is the shared apartment, and I'll be taking my time to talk about shared accommodation briefly, because in a separate video that I'll be showing you, I'll be doing a house tour. Yeah, showing you my house because I live in a shared apartment. I'm going to tell you some of the things you need to know about shared apartment, but generally let's talk about accommodation here in the UK. So the shared apartment, what it means is that you will have a room to yourself, and then maybe it will be a building that has like 4 or 5 rooms, depending on the number of rooms. You can see some that have up to 8 rooms in them. So you have your flatmates. You'll be sharing with your flatmates. So you just have a room in a house. Yeah, you have a room in a house, then you share your living room, your kitchen, your toilet, and your bedroom. You share it with other people. That is the shared apartment. So it's not like the studios, that the self-contained that you have to yourself, but you just have a room in a building and you have other people in their own rooms. Then you share your living room, your toilet, your bathroom, and you also share your kitchen. However, that is not to say that all shared accommodation is like that. For instance, I don't stay in such. The one I'm staying in is ensuite. It's a shared apartment, but I have my room to myself. I also have my toilet and my bathroom. The only thing I share with my flatmates is the kitchen. Yeah, I only share the kitchen. So you can also have that option. And in some shared accommodation, there are some rooms that will be ensuite and there are some rooms that will not be. So you can come in a place and then a room might be ensuite, or 2 rooms can be ensuite, but of course you know they'll be more expensive. Then there are those that when you stay, you share the toilet and the bathroom with others, but you will definitely be sharing kitchen with everybody. So what are the things that you need to consider, or the things you need to know about private accommodation outside the university? Number one, please, like I said earlier, one of the advantage of the uni accommodation is the closeness to school, right? When you're also looking for accommodation, in as much as it's not with the university, please try and make sure that your accommodation is close to your uni. It might not be a walking distance, but let it not be that you have to stay in a bus for 30-40 minutes, or that you have to take 2 buses or thereabouts and all that. Make sure that the accommodation that you'll find is close to your uni. It's very, very important. All right. Also, another thing that you might consider is closeness to some facilities, some social amenities like grocery shops, train station, bus stop. Make sure that where you find your accommodation, it is close to all these essential commodities. It's actually very helpful. Let's talk about a very important thing. I'm sure you are waiting for that. Rent. Oh yes, rent. That is the major thing. So rent is another thing that you should consider. Of course, it depends on your pocket. It depends on what you can afford. I think in most apps, I'm going to leave in the description box some apps, some websites, or some apps where you can actually search for apartments when you are in the UK. All right. So when you go there, I think you can use filters to put the amount, what's the range of the the amount that you are looking for. Maybe you can say like I want 200 to 250 pounds per month. 200. I don't know about that, but that's just an example. Yeah, per month and stuff like that. You can put it there. You can put that you are looking for a shared apartment, you are looking for a suite or no suite room and all those stuff. So you have to filter all that. So your rent, and one thing about rent here is that sometimes it can be weekly. There are some weekly rent, some are per calendar month, that is for 1 month. And for some reason, paying per month is actually better than paying per week, because when you pay per week, you might find out that a month might have up to 5 weeks or something like that. But if it's per month, and I'm sure maybe you are used to per month, and I consider it that it's the easiest. So try and find an accommodation that you can pay per calendar month. Then still on rent, when you are looking for accommodation, there are two options. There are some apartments that are all bills inclusive, some are not all bills inclusive. This is another factor that you have to really consider. So what does this mean? All bills inclusive means that your rent comprises of all your bills, water, electricity, gas, council tax and all that. Yeah, now that I mentioned council tax, sorry, I want to deviate before I forget this. As a student, you are not to pay council tax. Some students make that mistake. I've had students saying that their landlord collects council tax from them. You are not supposed to pay council tax. Just know that. I don't know, but your university will provide you a letter. Mine is on the portal. I can always print it anytime and show the landlord. You are exempted from paying council tax as a student. So please don't make that mistake. In case you move an apartment and they are telling you about council tax, then you should tell them that you are exempted. But if you follow what I will say in this video, you might not even need to bother about that, because my advice is look for an apartment that is all bills inclusive. Yeah, so what that means is that when you pay your rent, that is all. You don't need to bother about rent, water, electricity, gas and all those stuff. And you know the advantages, as far as except you are staying in your own flat, then that might be useful. But if you are staying in a shared apartment, you don't know the kind of flatmates you will have, you understand? And you know how you yourself, you might be considering, oh, let me save energy so that the bill will not be so much. You minimize your water intake, your water usage rather. You minimize the heat and everything they use, the light and all. You might have a flatmate that don't care, that uses all those things, and at the end of the day, the bill will be shared among yourselves. Yeah, you will share the bills among yourselves. And you might have a flatmate that is not even willing to pay, but at least, oh, I don't have the money, and then it becomes problem. So I think the best is for you to go for the ones that is all bills inclusive. So another thing to consider when it comes to rent is that there is what is called single bed and double bed, and I think to an extent they contribute to your rent. So if you find an apartment or an accommodation that has single bed, it might be cheaper than an apartment that has double bed, of course. So single bed means only one person can sleep on the bed. The beds are smaller, but double beds are bigger, so two people can sleep on a double bed. That's what it means. So it depends on you. Do you think that you'll be having visitors that might be sleeping over? If you think that there's a tendency of you having visitors once in a while, then you might consider going for the double bed. Or maybe you like comfort, you like comfort, double bed, that will be for you. But single bed here, you can also find comfort, but it depends on maybe your body size. All right, so I think, but if you don't have any visitor and you are comfortable, so you should be looking for an apartment with a single bed. They tend to be cheaper than the ones with double bed. So when you're looking for accommodation in the UK, there's what is called tenancy agreement. That is very important. So it outlines some of the things that your landlord expects from you. All right, so you need to check out that. Maybe check the minimum stay. Sometimes you can say that the minimum stay might be 3 months, 6 months, it depends. But one thing I would advise, please, whenever you get any accommodation or you are considering any accommodation, please check out the tenancy agreement. Read it very well and make sure you understand it so that you won't breach contract. Also, in the process of looking for accommodation, there's what they call viewing. So when you see an apartment and you check everything about it, the facilities and all, and you are interested, then you have to go for house viewing. This is one of the reasons I will advise, if you are not going for uni accommodation, please don't really pay for an accommodation before coming over. You know why? Sometimes pictures are not exactly what reality is. So that picture that you are seeing might be a picture taken when the house was still fine, when the house was still bubbling and all that, but the house is no longer in that same state. All right, you see. So that I remember one time I was looking for a house. I entered an apartment, or more. I couldn't stay there. Not because of the room would be fine, but it was already messed up, it's dirty. Talking about the flatmates, and I know I can't stay here, alright? So that's why sometimes it's good that you go and view. When you enter, you go and view, see things for yourself, see the facilities, see the toilet, see the kitchen, and be sure that it is where you can stay, because you cannot really judge a book by its cover. So don't judge an apartment by the pictures you see online. It might be different from reality. So that is it. So you go for viewing. When you go for viewing and you like it, and you're not yet maybe ready to pay, maybe you are still waiting for money or something, there's what we call holding deposits. Holding deposit is what that the agent or your landlord will require that you give them. When you pay that holding deposit, then that particular apartment will be taken off market and be waiting for you. It just tells the landlord or the agent that you are really interested, but they will give you duration, how long they can hold it for you. Because if you don't pay that holding deposit and another person comes and indicates interest in that same apartment and the person is ready to move in and pay, that is off, you lose it. So if you see an apartment that you like and you really want to take it, pay the holding deposit. It will still be added, of course, to your rent when you pay. So just make sure that you pay that. Apart from the holding deposit, there's also what we call house deposit. House deposit is more like an insurance. You pay that depending on how much your rent is. So you pay it at the point of moving into the house, and like I said, it's like an insurance. They keep it. That is what they will use in case you damage any facility in your room or in the apartment. They will take the money from there and repair it. And at the end of your stay, when you are moving out, if you damage anything and they subtract the money they used to repair your damages, then they will give you back the balance. But if you didn't damage anything, at the end of your stay, they will refund that deposit to you. So it's more like a saving. If at the end of the day you don't spoil anything, you get the money back. So what are the things that are needed when it comes to accommodation? What are the things that you need to have? So most times there are two things about getting an accommodation. Listen very well, please. At this point, I would say that you can actually get an accommodation through a housing agent. So some landlord, they put their house on rent and an agent, the housing agent, will manage it for them. Some landlord manage it themselves. All right. So when you're looking for an accommodation, there are some things that will be required from you. Most times they fill the thing online. They'll just send you a link. You go online and start putting your details. They'll require your international passport, your BROP, your biometric residence permit. They might require your school ID card. They might require some documents. But these are the basic documents they'll require from you. And one important thing I want to really highlight is guarantor. Yeah, they will need a guarantor. Guarantor is like a surety, someone that will vouch for you, because if you're unable to pay your rent, that is the person they will hold responsible. And maybe you did something and you run away, that person will be held accountable. So you need that guarantor. But I want to say something to you from the bottom of my heart based on experience about the issue of guarantor. If you're coming here and you don't really know anybody, because most times they prefer someone that is in the UK to be your guarantor, and when that person in the UK will be your guarantor, they will also do credit check on the person, because what they want to make sure is that if you don't pay your rent, this is somebody that they can hold responsible. So sometimes they do credit check, sometimes on the person, and to make sure that the person can pay. Sometimes they might not. But in case you are here and you are coming here, you don't really know anybody that can be your guarantor. In my case, that was my situation. For some reason, I couldn't find a guarantor. Nobody was able to be or ready to be my guarantor. So it became a problem for me. Now, how did I escape that problem? I'll say it then. I'll say another option for you. For me personally, I overcame that problem because when I found out that I don't have a guarantor, and without a guarantor, I can't get the apartment. That is it. So I have the option of paying my house rent in full. So since my accommodation is 6 months contract, so the minimum stay I can hit, my minimum stay number of stay here is 6 months. So I have to pay my 6 months rent up front ahead of time. With that, they are relaxed. So I don't need any guarantor. I've paid my rent. What else and all that. So, but if you are coming and you don't have that and you don't have that kind of, that kind of money, all right, that you can pay the 6 months ahead, it might be a problem. My advice for you to overcome that is for you to look for accommodation that the landlord himself or the landlord herself is managing. If it's a housing agent, the rule is true. They are so rigid with that. They are so rigid. Except they might say, okay, we'll speak to the landlord on your behalf. But sometimes they might not have that kind of time, depending on the demand. But if you are looking for accommodation via the apps, you will see some of them, they will tell you whether it's agents or it's the landlord. If you find accommodation that the landlord himself or herself is the one managing, it is very, very important, because some of them you can speak to them, explain your condition and tell them that you will pay. Some of them might give you that option, and they will trust you and they say, okay, no problem, you don't need a guarantor. Pay maybe first 2 months or pay your rent and always pay me. And if you don't, that kind of thing. So that would be the best option. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So if you don't know anybody who can be your guarantor, it's either you pay the minimum stay. Well, if you don't have that kind of money, maybe you can be looking for an accommodation that the minimum stay is 3 months. So maybe you can afford to pay 3 months rent. But mine, for instance, was 6 months and the money was much. I had to work here for me to get that 6 months ready. So it's either you pay everything up front and settle that, or you look for an accommodation that the landlord or the landlady himself or herself, they are the ones managing it. Then you speak to them, they might consider you and they wouldn't mind allowing you to move into the house without a guarantor. So guys, lastly, one thing I'll say is another way that you can find accommodation easily is that through university group page. There are some Facebook group page. Either sometimes, I think most universities, they do this when they give people admission, they open a group page for them. Or if you go to the university main group page, you can see some people, maybe they are moving out, they are graduating, and their rent is still remaining like 3 months or so, or they have a flat and they are looking for flatmates. Okay, they can put it on the group page. Look at this, we need this, we need that, or I'm moving out, or sometimes can even get to buy properties there. So that's another thing to consider. You can find apartments via those social media groups, those university group page, and at the same time, please be mindful, you can be scammed there. So if you are in your country and you agree for any apartment with any student, please don't pay till you come here. I keep saying that, don't pay till you come here. Very, very important. And also another disadvantage of that kind of accommodation is that you might not know the people that you'll be staying with. But ordinarily, you won't really know the people you are staying with. I think I'll talk more about my experience of living in a shared apartment in my next video that I'll be doing a house tour. In that video, I'm going to give you a range of prices. I'll show you my house, I'll tell you how much I pay my rent, and I also give you like rough estimates of some houses I've seen while I was doing my house hunting, so that you have your mind prepared and know what to expect when you come. But mind you, it all depends on the city where you are. So guys, with that, I think I've come to the end of this video. I hope you liked it. Please give this video a thumbs up. Please give it a thumbs up. It goes a long way. And please subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed to my channel. And I also want to use this opportunity to say a very big thank you to all my subscribers, those who share my video, those who like my videos, those who take their time to leave comments. Those comments, they mean a lot to me. Leaving those comments, they mean a lot to me. I read them all. Thank you so much for leaving the comments. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking my videos, and thank you for sharing my videos. All right, till I see you guys in my next video. Stay blessed, remain intentional, and take care of yourself. Bye.